Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today, we're all about mobile driver's licenses, those MDLs everyone's talking about.
Yeah, they are getting a lot of buzz.
But are they just a fancy digital version of your license, or is there more to it? We're going to use California as our case study.
Good choice.
They're really pushing the boundaries with this tech. Plus, we'll look at how decentralized identity, especially ArcBlock is doing, could totally change the game.
It's an exciting space.
For sure. I mean, imagine controlling your own data, having rock-solid identity security, and transactions that just work. Smooth sailing, right?
That's the promise.
So is that what MDLs are all about? Let's find out.
It's fascinating to see how MDLs are going from a cool concept to actually being used, especially in California.
Yeah, California's really out there leading the way.
They're not messing around. They're being proactive.
And it's paying off. I was checking out their MDL program, and the numbers are impressive.
Yeah.
Over 1.6 million MDLs issued already. And get this, they're adding about 4,200 more every single day. What I think is really smart is they're giving people choices right from the start.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
You can use the DMV's own wallet, Google Wallet, or even Apple Wallet.
That's smart. Giving options like that definitely helps people adopt it early on.
For sure. It's all about the user experience, making it easy for people.
Absolutely. User experience is key, and California is proving that. And the best part, they're not stopping there.
Really?
They've got this ambitious roadmap talking about statewide rollout and using MDLs for way more than just airports and age checks.
Okay, now this is where it gets super interesting. The California DMV held these hackathons, one for public sector folks, one for the private sector.
Oh, I heard about those, to brainstorm new ways to use MDLs, right?
Exactly. And the ideas they came up with. Mind-blowing, seriously. We're talking everything from KYC for financial services to wildfire grant applications.
No way.
Yeah, even age verification for Californians down in Mexico.
That's wild. So real-world stuff, not just theoretical.
Absolutely. It was all about practical applications. And the energy at those hackathons. Amazing.
I bet. Bring all those bright minds together.
15 private sector teams, 12 public sector teams, even people watching from other countries. It's clear MDLs are getting global attention.
Definitely a sign of things to come.
And it wasn't just talk. They were building working prototypes. It shows how much potential MDLs have.
Yeah, turning ideas into reality.
Now, I got to ask, are other states or even other countries looking at what California's doing and thinking, we got to get on board with this?
Oh, absolutely. California's leading the charge for sure. Their success is inspiring others to, jump in and explore what MDLs can do.
So they're like the trailblazers.
Definitely. We're seeing more and more interest worldwide. Some countries are even thinking about nationwide digital ID programs using similar tech.
It's spreading. Okay, let's dive into some specifics from those hackathons, because seeing these ideas come to life is what makes this so exciting.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
One team came up with this system for identity proofing, but unmanned, using MDLs, for FEMA disaster recovery. Can you imagine how much smoother aid distribution would be after a hurricane or an earthquake?
That's incredible. It could be a game changer for disaster response.
Right. Think about the chaos and delays when people need to prove who they are to get help.
Ugh. It's the worst. You're already dealing with so much.
Exactly. But with MDLs, it could be so much faster, more efficient. Help gets to the people who need it fast.
Absolutely. Makes a huge difference in those critical moments.
There was another team that showed how a California state job application could automatically fill in verified information straight from an MDL.
That's so cool.
No more mountains of paperwork, no more hassle.
Streamlining things, making it easy for people.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving time, it's about fewer errors, making sure the data is accurate.
Right, because bad data can cause a lot of problems down the line.
This next one I found especially interesting. A team from West Virginia used California's MDL tech to look into high-assurance identity verification for mobile voting.
Wow, mobile voting, that's next level.
Right. Think about how that could change election security and make voting more accessible.
It could be revolutionary. It all comes down to trust, right? And MDLs can help build that trust, that transparency, especially when it comes to something as important as elections.
Definitely. Secure digital identity is only becoming more important. And MDLs, if they're done right, can be a big part of that.
Absolutely. It's about doing it thoughtfully and carefully.
Okay, we've seen the potential, the excitement, but I'm sure there are challenges too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not all smooth sailing.
What did these hackathons reveal about the hurdles, the things we need to overcome to make MDLs mainstream?
Well, they definitely highlighted some key areas where we need to innovate. Like for businesses to really use MDLs, integration has to be seamless.
Makes sense. If it's too hard or expensive for companies to adopt, MDLs won't really take off.
Exactly. It can't just be for the big tech companies, it's got to be for everyone, big and small.
And what about making sure MDLs work across all those different platforms and wallets? We don't want a system that's all fragmented and confusing.
You're hitting on another big one, interoperability. We need to make sure these things work together smoothly, no matter who issued the MDL or where it's being used. We can't end up with a system that creates more problems than it solves.
And then, of course, the elephant in the room, data privacy and control.
Yeah, that's a big one.
People need to feel confident that their personal information is safe and that they're in control of how it's shared.
Absolutely. For MDLs to be successful, people need to trust that their data is protected and that they have control over it.
Did the hackathons address that?
Oh, yeah. Data privacy was a major theme throughout the whole thing. It was front and center.
So we've got these challenges, all valid concerns. But I'm curious, could decentralized identity tech be the key to overcoming them? Could it take MDLs to that next level?
I think it definitely has the potential. And this is where a company like ArcBlock comes in.
Okay, let's talk about ArcBlock.
They're developing these decentralized identity solutions that could address a lot of the challenges we've been talking about, unlock the real power of MDLs.
I'm ready to dive into that. Tell me more.
All right, so ArcBlock's platform.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, but now I really want to hear about the solutions. How does ArcBlock fit into this whole MDL and decentralized identity thing?
Well, ArcBlock's whole platform is built on this idea of giving you, the user, control over your digital identity.
Okay, I like the sound of that already.
Right. Imagine, your identity isn't controlled by some big company or the government, but it's managed by you.
So I'm in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Using blockchain technology. It's like having this super secure digital vault for your identity.
Okay, a digital vault. I like that.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people, me included sometimes, hear blockchain and we kind of zone out.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating.
Can you break it down for us? How does this actually work with MDLs?
Sure. Think of it this way. Instead of relying on Google or Apple to hold and verify your MDL, you have it in this digital wallet, but you control this wallet.
Got it. My own personal wallet.
Yeah. And this wallet is powered by blockchain, which means it's super secure and tamper-proof. Nobody can mess with it.
Okay, so I have my MDL in my super secure wallet. That makes sense. But how does that solve the problems we talked about? Like businesses accepting it or keeping my data private?
Right. So let's start with interoperability, like making sure it works everywhere. One of ArcBlock's big solutions is this thing called ID Connect.
The ID Connect.
Yeah. It's designed to work across different platforms and wallets. So a business can use ArcBlock's tech to check your MDL no matter if it's in the DMV wallet, Google Wallet, Apple Wallet, whatever.
No more headaches trying to make different systems talk to each other.
Exactly. No more compatibility issues, which is huge.
I love it. Okay, but what about privacy? That's a big one for me. I don't want every store knowing my birthday and address just to check my ID.
Oh, I totally get it. And that's where this thing called selective disclosure comes in. It's a game changer for privacy.
Selective disclosure. Tell me more.
So imagine you're at a bar, right? And they need to see if you're over 21. With selective disclosure, you can use your MDL to prove you're old enough without giving the bartender all your personal info.
Wait, so they just know I'm over 21, but they don't see my birth date or anything else?
Exactly. They get just what they need, nothing more. And this is all possible because ArcBlock uses these things called verifiable credentials. It's kind of like a digital certificate with specific pieces of information that you choose to share.
So I'm in control. I decide what they see.
You got it. You're the gatekeeper.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better about the whole thing. But is this just a theory? Or is this actually happening?
Oh, no, this is real. ArcBlock is already working with partners to make it a reality. They've teamed up with a big airline, for example, to let passengers use their MDLs to verify their identity at check-in and at the gate.
So instead of juggling my passport and boarding pass, I could just use my phone.
Exactly. It makes traveling so much smoother and it's way more secure.
That's awesome.
They're also working with a major bank to use decentralized KYC, know your customer, to make it easier and faster to open accounts and use financial services.
Wow, it really feels like the future is here. But are businesses ready for this? It seems like a lot to, change their systems?
That's a great question, and ArcBlock has thought about that. They've built these tools and APIs that make it pretty easy for businesses to integrate decentralized identity into their existing setup. It's not about ripping everything out and starting over. It's about building on what they already have.
So it's adaptable.
Exactly. It's about working with the ecosystem, not against it.
I like their approach. So we've talked about airlines and banks, but where else could this, revolutionize things? What other scenarios?
Oh man, the possibilities are huge. Think about healthcare. You could have all your medical records securely stored in your digital wallet as verifiable credentials.
So like a digital health record.
Exactly, and you would be in total control. Sharing with a new doctor would be as simple as granting them access through your wallet. No more digging through paper records or faxing forms.
That would be a dream come true.
No.
Especially when I switch doctors, it's always such a hassle.
I know, right? And speaking of hassle, think about government services. They're notorious for paperwork.
Ugh, tell me about it. The DMV alone is a nightmare.
But with decentralized identity, it could be so much easier. Imagine applying for benefits, renewing your license, even voting, all online, totally secure and efficient, using your MDL as your key.
Okay, now that would be amazing. No more standing in line for hours. But I gotta be honest, I'm still a little skeptical. This all sounds fantastic, but is it realistic to expect everyone to manage their own digital identity? Like, what about people who aren't tech savvy?
That's a valid point. It's a big change for sure. But we're already managing so much of our lives digitally, We bank online, we shop online, we connect with friends online. Decentralized identity just takes it a step further, gives us more control and security.
True. It's not that big of a leap when you think about it that way.
Right. And as for people who aren't as comfortable with technology, that's definitely something we need to address as we move toward this more decentralized future. We need to make sure these solutions are accessible to everyone, no matter their tech skills.
So there's still work to do, but it sounds like the benefits are huge.
Absolutely. And as the technology gets better and more people start using it, we're going to see even more creative and impactful uses. Think about supply chains, education, even humanitarian aid. Decentralized identity can make things more efficient, more transparent, more secure across so many different areas.
This is seriously blowing my mind. It feels like we're talking about a fundamental change in how we interact with the digital world.
It is a fundamental change, and it's not just about the tech. It's about empowering people, building trust, making the digital world more equitable and accessible for everyone.
It's pretty inspiring to think about the possibilities. And I know we've been focused on the practical stuff, but I'm curious about the bigger picture. What does this mean for society as a whole if we really embrace this decentralized model of identity?
That's a great question, and it leads us into this whole discussion about the societal impact of decentralized identity, which has the potential to be really transformative.
So we've been really digging into the nuts and bolts of how decentralized identity works. But I think it's time to zoom out, look at the bigger picture. What is this shift towards a user-controlled model of identity? What does that mean for society, for all of us?
That's a big question, and it's important. Decentralized identity could change not just how we use tech, but how we think about things like trust, privacy, and even individual power in this whole digital age we live in.
Okay, let's start with trust. Right now, we kind of have to trust these big companies, these big institutions, to manage our identities for us. But decentralized identity flips that script, right?
Yeah, it totally does. In the system we have now, we rely on those big players like Google, Facebook, or governments to verify who we are. But with decentralized identity, that trust, it shifts away from those central authorities and onto the network itself. It's more distributed, more democratic.
So it's not blind faith in a company or the government. It's about trusting a system that's designed to be more secure, more transparent, because it's using cryptography and consensus.
Exactly. And that shift, that could really boost trust in the whole digital space. Because when people have more control over their data, how it's used, it creates more responsibility, more accountability.
That makes sense. Okay, so trust, check. Now let's talk about privacy, which is a huge deal for a lot of us. It feels like every company out there wants to grab my data and turn it into profit. Does decentralized identity change that?
It has the potential to, for sure. Because with decentralized identity, your data isn't sitting in one big database controlled by one company. It's spread across the network, and you hold the keys, so to speak, to access and share your information.
So I get to decide what I share, who I share it with, and why. That's a real power shift.
It is, and it could lead to like a more ethical way of doing things online where people have more say in how their information is used.
Mm.
And it could even mean less data being collected in the first place. Companies would have to be more upfront, get your permission before they can access anything.
That would be fantastic. Less data harvesting, more transparency. This is all sounding so positive, but I have to ask, are there any downsides?
Yeah.
I mean, every technology has its risks, right?
Of course, there are always potential downsides. One thing to think about is, what if someone gets a hold of your private keys? That's a big deal. Security has to be top-notch, and it's crucial to educate people on how to protect themselves in this new world.
So like with anything else, more power means more responsibility. We need to make sure people understand how to stay safe, how to protect their digital identities. What other challenges do you see on the horizon?
Well, getting everyone to adopt it is a big one. For decentralized identity to really take off, we need individuals, businesses, governments, everyone to be on board. It's a big shift away from the centralized systems we're all used to.
It's a huge change, and it's not going to happen overnight. But the benefits seem so worth it, especially when you think about how it could level the playing field digitally.
Totally. Think about the people who are left out by the current systems, like refugees who might not have official documents. It's hard for them to access basic services. Decentralized identity could give them a way to establish and verify who they are, open up opportunities that were closed off before.
That's a really powerful example. It's not just about convenience, it's about giving everyone a fair shot, making sure everyone has equal access.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just proving who you are. Think about voting. Decentralized identity could make voting more secure, more transparent, more accessible, which could boost participation and trust in the whole democratic process.
This is really making me rethink what the future could look like. It feels like we're right on the edge of something huge, something that could really change the world.
We are, and even though there are challenges, there's no denying the potential of decentralized identity to make the digital world more equitable, more secure, and to empower every individual.
This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and insights with us. For our listeners who are eager to learn more, what would you suggest? Where should they go?
I definitely recommend checking out the ArcBlock website. They've got tons of info about their tech, their vision, and the whole decentralized identity movement. And there are so many online communities, forums where you can connect with others who are passionate about this stuff. Get involved, ask questions, join the conversation.
That's a great call to action. And with that, we've come to the end of our deep dive into decentralized identity. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this topic with us and that you're as excited as we are about what the future holds.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, the future is decentralized.